Again, welcome. I hope you enjoyed tonight. And at this time, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our moderator, Oliver Jones.
I am so excited to be here. This is an incredible group that the SAG Foundation and the Actors Fund Looking Ahead program have put together. If you want to have a very entertaining and interesting afternoon, I suggest you go to IMDb and you go to all the credits of this group that they've put together here today. You will be stunned by how much they have accomplished at such a young age, but not just that, the depth of what they've accomplished. We have performers out here who you know as actors, but they're filmmakers, they're Broadway stars, they are recording artists. We have a parkour specialist out here who does stunt work. It's an incredible group, and I'm very, very excited to be a part of this. So let me stop yakking and bring them in. China Ann McClain from Disney Channel's original series, Ant Farm. Hi, China. Teo Halm from Earth to Echo. From ABC Family's Melissa and Joey, Taylor Spreitler. From a new series from Amazon called Gordimer Gibbon's Life on Normal Street, Sloane Morgan Siegel. Star of Red Riding Hood, Bella King. From Disney XD's Kickin' It, Dylan Riley Snyder. And Katherine McNamara from MTV's Happyland. This is a really extraordinary group, and I'm so glad that you guys are all sitting here. It's so great to see you all together. I'm going to start with you and just kind of move down the line, you know, proper order, and not get too confusing. Awesome. But what inspired you to get into this racket? What inspired you to become an actor? When did that love, that flower, first start to bloom in your mind and imagination and heart?
I would say after I did my first movie, The Gospel, and after I did that, I was only like 6, but after I did that, I knew that it was something that I wanted to continue doing for the rest of my life. It was so much fun, and I truly loved it with all my heart. So after that, I was like, well, I guess this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
And your dad was just like, ugh.
I know, my dad was like, oh, great.
What about you, Teo?
I did my first audition, and I was about 9 years old. And I did so badly in it, I forgot all my lines, and I froze up, and I just started talking to the producers, and I didn't get a call back, but it just gave me like the passion to not mess up in future auditions.
I like that.
And I got really into it.
See, there's something good when the worst thing that can possibly happen to you happens the first time, because you just
Exactly.
get it out of the way quickly.
Nice.
What about you, Taylor?
I was kind of that kid that would just never shut up and never stop trying to put on shows for my family. So they really just needed to find a way for me to like get it out of my system and not do it just for them all the time.
I'm sure people here are somewhat used to that phenomenon, I'm guessing. It's Sloane?
All right, well, I started out as a dancer, and then I ended up going to a dancing competition, and then the choreographer was like, oh, hey, you got a cool look, you can dance, you have a cool personality, you should get into acting. So I thought, okay, so I tried a couple acting classes, and then I fell in love with it, and I got hooked, and then I went out here, I came out to California, got a manager, and booked a couple of things, and then I couldn't stop, and now I'm a lead in the show, and I'm loving life, and I'm gonna do it for the rest of my life, so I really love it.
Bella?
For me, I think it was somewhere in 2nd grade, which is when I first started in theater, and then also when I started writing, and just becoming a storyteller and seeing people react. That was definitely what drove me. So.
Mm-hmm. And Dylan?
When I was born, true story, my sister was an actress in community theater plays in school, whatever she could, in Alabama, where I'm from. Day 3 of my living, she took me to her first rehearsal and kept taking me on after that, and it was just a long time of wanting to be around her and consistently be close to her that I ended up just starting to take directions for them. When I was 4 years old, I got my first speaking role, and it was I more of just grew up with it. Everything was just always, my sister and I are in these productions together, and this is what we do, and I just kind of took it further than she did, and I got really competitive, and I wanted to do everything more than she did. And then I moved to New York and decided to take it professionally, and that was kind of my, ha-ha, I got you, Cassidy. You can't win.
You're the first person who's been able to pinpoint the third day of their life as the origin point for that. That's a little creepy.
I never intended to be an actor or be in this industry at all. I always say that I fell into it backwards. I was a ballet dancer and a softball player growing up, and ran into a family friend who was directing a community theater production, needed a dancer. I was the kid who would try anything. Why not? Theater, sounds like fun. And I just remember stepping on stage for the first time on opening night and feeling the lights and feeling the energy of the audience and what it all was finally all put together, and I just fell in love. Something hit me like a brick wall, and I just knew that this is what I had to do for the rest of my life. So thankfully I've been able to do that so far, so I hope to keep that going.
So there's one thing falling in love with something, especially when you're very young, and then the other thing is realizing that dream and dealing with everything that comes with realizing that dream. Talk about some of the difficulties or challenges that are unique to being a young actor and doing this from a time when, you know, the rest of us are just figuring out how to manage the playground and, you know, get time on the slide. And you guys are dealing with very difficult things. What's some of the most challenging things about being a young actor and a young...
Well, obviously school. Like, you have to do school while you're acting, and yeah, right? And you usually have a tutor like on set, so after you're like done with the scene or something, you don't go and take a break. You have to go right into school and then go back and forth between that. So that's been one of the hardest things, being a minor in this industry, is you have to...
Is your brain kind of fried after...
No, yeah, I think it is right now. I honestly don't know how I'm talking right now.
Yes.
But yes, right.
Sleep ends up being overrated,
Girl,
honestly,
right?
But it can be done.
Yeah.
You know, it can be done, and you know, education is so important, and it's something that you can't lose sight of, even though your career is also taking priority.
What about for you, Teo?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's unique to just minor actors, but procrastination.
Oh my God.
That is my problem in life. I will, just with school and with acting, like I'll get an audition and I'll wait till I've gotten better at it. I've like learned to study my roles sooner and all that. But and also with school, I think that it's not just for when you're a minor, but also once you graduate or once you take the test, that gets you out of or it gets you being a legal 18, because if you do want to take college courses, it's going to be so hard to do. I mean, you're on set, and without even having time to have your brain fried, you have to wait till you get offset, and then you have to work your butt off to do your courses.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to doing college, so I can see how it's going to be tough.
What about you guys in the middle there?
Specifically,
Oh, God.
my opening words, what is it about them? Okay, you mentioned something. It was falling in love with it and then realizing your dream. There's also this third entity. It's fulfilling the dream, which I find is more of the, I guess, the most difficult to carry out, because you do have to make sacrifices. And I hear school, and school is a very big one because you have to stay diligent if you want to maintain an education, which for me is very important. I like knowing things. I want to learn. I want to do physics. I want to know things. But the hardest part for me being a child actor, that's weird to say, I'm sorry. Being a child actor...
I said young actor.
Young, thank you, that's better. Being a young actor is... it was the sacrifice of like leaving home. I lived in Alabama and Mississippi for the first 8 years of my life.
I'm from Mississippi.
No way, where?
Yeah. I'm from Hattiesburg.
My grandparents
Pedal.
live in Alabama.
Sorry to interrupt. Keep going. Whoa. That's really cool.
Okay, like 5 minutes away from each other. So, yeah, I had to leave home. I had to leave my dad, who had a job back there, my sister, who, you know, she was going to school back there. So there's no possibility of me being able to see them, no possibility of me able to see my grandparents, who I'm leaving. I went there every summer, and it was a difficult sacrifice, because when I moved to New York, it was a temporary amount of time that I was going to leave, but it was a time that was possibly going to be indefinite. I don't know when I'm going to be able to see them again. For a long time, I didn't see my dad for but twice a year. So it was tough, and it's not the same for everybody, but I know that sacrifice is just a really big part to having certain aspects of your dream.
I would definitely second that in the lack of normalcy, but when you really want it, I don't think it stops you too much. For me personally, working behind the scenes, probably the greatest obstacle is having to prove yourself constantly. And yes, I'm a kid, but I'm working like an adult and I can behave like an adult, and that's probably the one greatest setback, maybe, if you will. So.
And I did want to touch on that education thing one more time. It can be done. It is hard, but it is possible. I graduated high school at 14. I got my bachelor's degree at 17. It can be done. It's hard work. Sleep is overrated, but it can be done. Oh God, don't worry about it. But if you really are dedicated, it's all about finding the balance and finding what programs work for you and how you learn best and how to best optimize your time.
Awesome. Well, I guess it's my turn. Anyway, you guys pretty much, you covered a lot. But I guess, yeah, school is a really hard thing to keep track of as when you're acting as well. But you got to stay on top of things, and you got to persevere. And especially when you're in homeschool, that's also a big thing. You got to work hard, and you got to keep up with the work. But another thing, I don't know if we've mentioned, is social. Because when you first come out here, you don't know anyone. So it's always good to make friends, and it's not a competition. It's a fun journey, and you just meet people along the way. And I've met a lot of great people. I've met these great people, all you great people. But anyway, I've made some friends along the way, and it has been hard doing that because some people take it a little bit farther than you'd think. But it's a lot of fun. And social aspect, you can work around that because once you get in the business and you're seasoned with it or something, you have the time. And time is a really delicate thing as well.
Bella, you mentioned something about proving yourself every time out, and I've got to think that's got to be a hard thing, the audition process, and every time you walk through a door of an audition, it's going to be either another bad day in your life, the worst day in your life, or the best day in your life. And you really don't know which it's going to be. Talk about managing and handling those highs and lows, and also all those no's, because any successful actor has had a lot. There's a lot of no's somewhere back there. And I don't mean schnoz. I mean negatory.
Wow, okay. I definitely believe everything is very cyclical, and success begets success, and very much that mindset. So I think you're always going to have highs, and then it's going to move to lows. But when you're in those lows, it means you're just headed back up and around and around and around again. I think that's just how life works. For me, in what you said to all the no's, that's something that every actor, I think, experiences at some point in their career. And how you handle that, that's really up to you. I've seen some people get really beat down by it and stay in these lows longer than others, but for others, it motivates them more, and they just keep on going. And for me, I had my moment where I was one of those people that stayed in the lows for a while because I was starting to get really beat down, and it wears on you. It does, because you're either to this or not enough that, and it's a weird place to be. And for me, writing, that's when you kind of got to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and decide what you want to do and write your own ticket and just be confident in who you are and what you want to do. And then I think once you've got that, then you're back in that high for even longer than before. So.
Does anyone else want to take the handling auditions and having to prove yourself all the time? I mean, that's got to be a little rough. It's one thing when you're an adult and you have a sort of harder sense of who your identity is, but when you're still forming and figuring out how you interact in the world, that's got to be tough facing that rejection and being judged, either positive or negative.
Absolutely. And something someone told me a long time ago when I first started acting is that an actor's job is to audition.
Right.
And that if you end up getting a job and if you are right for something, then that's the extra added bonus for, doing your job well, or just an extra opportunity that's something fun. But, going into that audition and doing what you love for maybe 10 minutes or whatever it is a gift in and of itself. And just remember that and walk out of the room and forget about it. And if it comes back around to you, then that's great. But if not, there will be more.
All right, I'm just going to jump in here real quick. Anyway, so one of the biggest things in acting you have to deal with is rejection. And you got to learn to cope with that, because once you realize that it's not really a very big thing, because there's always the next opportunity. When doors close, they also open. When they open, they also close. So there's a lot of things like that. And there's a famous saying that I live by that I think you could carry with you that would help. It's by Henry Ford. It goes, whether you think you can do a thing or whether you think you can't do a thing, you're right. So you just got to believe that you can do it. Thank you. I like you too.
I have one thing to say about that too. It's, we do get told no a lot, and you can't let that change you, but then you also can't let it change you when you get told yes all the time.
Right.
It's a balance that you have to find. Like Melissa Joan Hart, who I work with, tells me all the time. It's like, you can't get caught up in the no's, but you also can't get caught up in the yes. You have to learn how to deal with both. So you will get told no a lot, but then when you get told yes, that's awesome. Every job is a blessing, but you're only as good as your next job.
Right.
That's exactly what my parents tell me all the time. They always tell me to take everything that everybody says with a grain of salt, and
Right.
just live the way you want to live and do what you want to do, and just live out your dreams, but don't really let what other people say about you, good or bad, because you never know when it's going to change.
Right.
Just don't let what other people say about you really get to you. Just
You
like
have your
said.
people around you that you trust, and that's the most important thing, especially in this industry, in this town. You have your people around you that you trust, and you listen to them and you take their advice, but everything else you just kind of have to, everything you see on Twitter, or any social media, you just kind of have to let it go.
And so often, I think it's not necessarily a reflection of you and everything you do, because there's so many factors that you can't control. It's more about the situation than something that you did or didn't do correctly or incorrectly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why you shouldn't completely change yourself if your audition doesn't go well. You have to have tough skin. Like, if you say no and you cry after every time you say no, it's probably maybe you're in the wrong business. But but if you do badly on an audition, it's maybe you did something that you can change. You can take a look at you can learn from your mistakes, you can learn from the opportunities that are arising, and you take a look and evaluate yourself. It's always good to kind of keep a watchful eye, be a little clairvoyant about every situation that's going on.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure, as we all know, you have critics, and you'll have one critic who's like, that was her best performance ever, and then someone else was like, that was her worst.
Right.
So you kind of have to figure out, you do have to take it with a grain of salt and figure out, okay, well, what could I have done better? Or, is this person just being nice?
So, speaking of social media, Teo, I noticed today that I think you have 34,000 Twitter followers, so give or take a
Something
few
like that,
hundred,
yes.
somewhere like that, which is more than some of the media outlets I write for.
Don't talk to me about that. Talk to China. She's like 1.3 million.
Yes, but I do want to talk seriously about social media, and that's a new thing that you guys have to deal with. I don't know if it's something that you deal with as part of your career, something as you deal with as part of your social life. It's something that straddles somewhere in between, but it's certainly filled with with problems and with difficulties and all sorts of challenges. Can you talk a little bit about handling that aspect of your job or your life, whatever it is?
Social media is a necessity for actors. A lot of actors who've been established tend to create social media accounts just to kind of keep those who want to follow them updated. And social media is a bit controversial, just because some people get too caught up in it. Like I had a period where I was on Twitter nonstop, and I realized this is a poison.
Yeah.
I was someone would talk to me, try and have a conversation, and I'd be like, yeah, hold on 1 sec, and I just keep on checking it. But it can benefit you. If you are able to gain a good amount of followers, it just keeps on building. It's not like it's just gonna drop, and you can use it to your advantage. You can use it for different things like endorsements or things like that. And yeah, I mean, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Vine. They're all different outlets to kind of display what's going on in your life.
But unlike certain aspects of the business, you can't go to old folks and ask us advice on this.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're the experts.
The old folks will ask the young kids advice.
Right, exactly. So speaking of which, Miss 1-point-something million followers, talk about that aspect of your life and your work, and when that gets tough.
Well, like you said, it's definitely new. Just invented very recently. So us kids have to deal with it, and the adults really didn't have to deal with it at all when they were younger. So how I deal with it is I'm only 16, so I pretty much just let all of it go through my parents. Like my parents have every password, everything, and they know how to, get into all of that stuff. And I let them they monitor it all the time, and that really helps me because I don't always have to look on there and see the negative comments and stuff, because when you're young and when you're 16 years old, it can really get to you. So that's the way I deal with it. I let my parents kind of, monitor it all.
Mm-hmm.
But, social media can be a very effective marketing tool, actually. You can use it to help promote your next project or help connect with other people and help network and do those kind of things as well. But you do have to be very, very careful, especially as young people, what you say and what you post on social media. Because once it's there, it never goes away, no matter what. So you gotta be careful.
Nowadays, it's actually like things you post on Twitter and Facebook can actually follow you later on. With regular, I guess, corporate jobs and whatnot, they will pull open your Facebook profile and look in your previous posts and what other people have tagged you in and find things that can possibly be harmful to their own company. And it's very much the same with actually acting jobs as well, because they can do that. They can open up, they can do background checks on you without having to open any legal documents. It's a dangerous thing. So it's something to keep mindful watch of. Know what you're doing. Keep everything safe as well. Password protected. Make sure you keep your passwords. It's all that, like, different. Keep your privacy settings on if you're serious about it. I'm very serious about. My Facebook was hacked like several years ago, and it was a very terrible loss. It was like a family member, and just everything, photographs, just friends lost. Somebody had them. Somebody was posting on my behalf, and what they were doing was they were adding producers in New York, who I was familiar with, who people I've either worked with or knew, and they would be talking to them consistently, and I didn't know what they were saying. Oh. And if they're pretending to be me, that's a problem. So I didn't like that. I did whatever I could to get that Facebook down. But that kind of alarmed me to be really, really careful about everything I did. Just privacy. Nobody gets to talk to. Put your groups on. Limit their usage. Nobody is safe.
Yeah.
Wow, that was
Everyone's
deep.
out for you.
That was deep.
But okay, but anyway, the one thing I definitely didn't expect when I came into this business was public relations and social media, which is it's a lot of work if you're not used to it. And when I first got into it, it was a lot of work. But also one thing, you have to have password protect and all that. But another thing you have to really watch out for are impersonators and people who start profiles with your name and say they're you, but they're not. So you got to really be careful with saying, like, it would be a good idea to have a profile on every social media website, because people can start as you, and then people will notice it's the oldest profile and think, oh, that's them. And then, bad things could happen. So there's a lot of different ways a lot of different things you should do to protect yourself on social media or in public relations or things like that.
In terms of being cautious and aware of what you're posting, my family, we have the grandma rule. So whatever you're posting, is it something you're okay with your grandma seeing? And is it something you're okay with your future grandchildren seeing? Because everything on social media is like a Sharpie. It's permanent. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
So for child actors, good advice. Follow that. Saves you a lot of hassle.
Think about the future.
Dun, dun, dun.
We endorse the grandma rule here. This is, well, I'll just start all the way at the end and work my way down this way. And this is from Cam Cadell here in the audience. Is there anything you would change about your journey through the industry so far? What would you do differently?
I mean, there are always decisions you look back on and you wonder if you made the right choice, and you wonder if you would have made the opposite choice, if you would have ended up going down a different path. But really, I'm a firm believer in all things happening for a reason, and that, you know, there's a journey that we're all supposed to be on, and somehow all things always work out as they're supposed to. So for me, yes, there are decisions that I wish I would have made different decisions. And yes, there are things that, you know, maybe if I would have made another decision, maybe something different would have happened. But looking back, if I would have made that other decision, I wouldn't be where I am now. I'd be somewhere else. And who knows where that other place would be. Maybe I would have met...
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah. maybe I wouldn't have met, you know, certain amazing people that I know, or had certain opportunities. And, you know, it's all about following your heart and really trusting your gut and trusting those people around you that are there to support you.
Yeah, we all say things and do things we wish we could take back. But as you said, if we didn't say that, would you really be here right now? And also, you have to believe in yourself, in what you say and do. Because, like, if you try and change yourself, like we mentioned earlier, a lot of things will change along with it. And you don't want to say you and your best friend are out hanging out at the mall, and you say something that's really not you, and you could cause a big fracture in that friendship, or a friendship or a relationship with, say, a person in the business or a family member. So really just be yourself and do and say what you've done, and just don't take anything back. Don't wish you can take anything back.
This topic is extremely philosophical.
I know.
Yeah, it's very,
Like,
very
I
deep.
think, therefore I am.
Right.
When I moved to New York, I was 8 years old. A big decision. We had moved out to only be there for 6 months. That was kind of the deal. It was like, hey, we'll move for 6 months. If it needs to be extended, it's extended. If it's not, it's okay. We'll go back home. Every 6 months, we would do a reevaluation. That was kind of, it was the big decision, to stay or to go. Every single time I've chosen to stay. I love doing this. This is something I'm very passionate about, something that I enjoy. You know, it's kind of my livelihood. It's what I've grown up doing. It's what I want to continue to do. So I have been. That's what my decision has been. That being said, I don't necessarily think, I know it's kind of been touched on a little bit, like it's been said, I don't necessarily think that I could just say I would like to change that decision in my life. Because every decision has formed me to this day. Every action that has formed my own personality. Every decision that has formed where I am career-wise, where I am location-wise. I'm in LA now. Big decision in my life that I had to make. I was either going to do a film. It was like a small independent film, or be in West Side Story on Broadway. And it was a tough decision. I had done Broadway. I've been in Tarzan. So it was like, oh my goodness, I could be on it again. And I could sing, and I could be prosperous for my life, and whatever that comes along with that. And or I could do a film. And that was my original goal when I moved out to New York, was to do a film. And I ended up just getting kind of sidetracked in a bunch of other projects, which I ended up loving. That was probably the biggest decision I've ever had to make, because I had to choose one or the other. And because of that decision, I am here.
Dylan, that was so deep, I can't even see you anymore. I think that, like, with looking back, I don't know,
I'm sure there's a few Twitter posts you wish you could pull back.
Like you told me, don't go too far back on Vine. You might see
Yeah.
some weird stuff.
Chana was, like, stalking my Vine the other day.
I was
and
stalking
like,
his
please
Vine.
don't go back a few years, it gets weird.
Back a few years.
I'm serious.
Grandma rule.
It's too late at that point, but go ahead.
I think it's good to learn from your mistakes and things that are like things that you obviously did wrong, but me personally, I don't like dwelling in the past. I think it's best just to move on, once you understand what you've done wrong or what you've done correctly, learn from that and put it into what you're doing and will be doing in the future.
Yeah, like they said, I agree with everything you guys said. I probably would not change anything. I mean, minor decisions like I shouldn't have eaten like all that candy at the beginning of the day because I crashed and I was tired the rest of the day. But other than that, I wouldn't change anything. I'm happy with where I am. Retweet.
China, if those are the decisions that you're regretting, you're doing all right. You're doing all right.
Yes.
Well, this is the season of candy regret right now. This is the time.
No regrets. No regrets.
So, Taylor, I want to ask you. I've heard a lot of talk about parents, but what has been a particular support system, either including or above and beyond your family, that have helped you deal with things that not every young person necessarily has to deal with? Who have been some of those support systems out there for you?
I mean, I'm very lucky that I work on a show that have 2 former child actors on it.
Right.
So that's been absolutely amazing because I have people who have lived my life before, know exactly what I'm going through. You know, the only thing is
So they're like, don't go to that club. It's really bad.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I grew up on my show. I started when I was 16. I just turned 21 last week, so I've been on my show for 5 years.
Wow.
So, you know, and that's what helped me. Like I have to give credit to one of my first ADs, Robbie Countryman. He is amazing, and if anyone ever gets a chance to work with him, I'm jealous because he's not with us anymore. But he was seriously like, he was a second dad to me, and he was always just like, no, what are you doing? You're going home, you're learning your lines. Why are you dressed like that? Those shorts are too short. Go change. Okay. So yeah, I've had an amazing cast and crew to kind of guide me and help me.
There are always figures like that, behind every career that we see. There's always someone that, they don't necessarily get thanked at the award shows or whatever, but I'm sure that each one of you has a figure like that. If you want, go ahead, Sloan.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to let you finish talking. I'm patient. Anyway, I was just going to say, I like kind of the topic, but not really. But anyway, of course, your parents are your biggest supporters. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of people that support you as well. You have your friends, you have your family. But also another thing I'd like to mention, just for future, for all of you, is that when you do go on a set, whether it be a music video, a commercial, a movie, a TV show, you will become a family. You will become a temporary, if not lifelong family. And you will make lifelong friends and people you will know forever. And on the show that I've been working on, the show that I'm leading, yeah. Anyway, we've become a really big family. Thank you very much. We've become a really big family. And just, you'll make a lot of friends out here, and you'll shine. Every one of you will shine your own color. Or whatever that means.
Aw, absolutely.
That doesn't make sense at all.
And touching on that, it really does. You really do become a family, and especially when you're working with people for a long period of time. I did a show in New York called A Little Night Music. I did the revival of it a few years ago on Broadway, and I was able to work with some amazing women. Angela Lansbury and Elaine Stritch, in particular, were 2 that I worked very closely with, and they're incredible women, have had amazingly long careers that have lasted their entire lives, and that's what I want to do. And so it was amazing to have time to talk to these women and really hear their thoughts on life and the industry and just hear what they had to say on a day-to-day basis. And those are experiences that I will never forget and that mean so much to me. And each one of you will have those experiences, and you'll have those people. So just be sure to cherish those and really make the most of them.
When Angela Lansbury was nominated for an Oscar for Gaslight, she was younger than some of the people that we have up here right now.
It's true.
To give you a sense of the length of that career. Yeah. But you want to take this, Dylan?
Sure. Some big support system for me has been some of my very first directors. This was back in community theater and everything, back in Alabama. It was just, nobody is exactly always settles where they're from, and this guy, his name was Paul Looney. He moved everywhere. I don't know where he's from. I don't know his story, but I know that he specifically had directed me on some things, and it was every once in a while, I can just give him a call and we can just talk, and it's very nice because he can kind of get an essence. He can check in on me. He can talk to me about the decisions I've made and whatnot, and he can compare them, and we can reminisce about, whoa, what's happened in your life? Oh, yes, this has changed. Wow, that's interesting. It's kind of nice to have that. It's like that friend, kind of adult, very much my teacher. I'm the apprentice of him. Kind of relationship with him, but there are always people that have that come up. Jason Earls on the show I'm on Kickin' It. He's hilarious. He's like, I'm not gonna say his age. He's a great guy, and he did Hannah Montana, and from that he's learned so much, and he's able to pass that along. Somewhere where I can walk in, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this joke. I don't know what to do with this problem in my own life, and he can go, well, and then he has this uncle advice. Not much of a fatherly advice guy. Very much an unclely advice guy.
I think having a parent who believes in you and also takes their own time and kind of like puts a deposit into your acting, like taking their own time and doing things for you. Like my dad, for instance, he out of both my parents, he was the one who kind of invested more into me acting. He drives me to everywhere I need to go. I get like my permit in 2 weeks, so I'm still off the roads, thank God for all of you. But I mean, without him, I wouldn't be able to get to auditions. I couldn't get to set, and it's I mean, it is hard. It's possible, but it's harder to make it in this business without someone who's there rooting for you. And there have been times where I've thought to myself like, oh, I want to quit. I don't know if I want to do this, and he'll say, you know, you were lucky enough to be able to get a quick start. You're able to book roles, and a lot of people aren't as lucky. So take that opportunity and use it to your advantage. Mm-hmm. And also, I think James Franco, I worked with him a few times now. That dude is crazy. Something's not right in his head, but he is a genius. Like,
Evil genius.
How successful he is and how humble he is. I don't understand how those two work. I mean, he's done so much with his life, and yet he's still making independent films here and there. He's not trying to be in the business for money or anything like that. He's accomplished, and he's in this business because he truly loves it, and I respect that, and I want to do what he's doing. He's working like every single day, not a day off.
James Franco just wrote a novel while you were giving that answer. So just to give you a sense. What about
is
you?
It my turn?
Yeah.
The people who inspire me is definitely my parents, my entire family. But thank God I have 2 older sisters, because being in this industry, you have there's so many different aspects of everything, and I have 2 older sisters to guide me in the direction that I need to be in, along with my amazing parents who set guidelines for me, and that just really helps growing up. And other than my amazing family that I have, somebody that I look up to very much is Brandy. Mm-hmm. She's amazing, and she gives me some great advice as well, just telling me to listen to my family, and you know, if this ever becomes not fun for you, then it's not worth it. So yeah.
You hear so much about not so great role models that you forget about how many incredible ones, like the ones that you've been fortunate enough to work with on your show that you've had for 5 years, which means that this question is definitely not directed to you, Taylor. It's from Donovan Carter here in the audience, and it's what's your best advice on how to handle the period after shooting when you don't have another job lined up, and during that sort of slower period. And Bella, I can see you sort of, I saw a response there a little bit. What are your thoughts about that, I guess, hammock period, or whatever you want to call it, when you're waiting for the next gig, and keeping things in an even keel during that time?
Well, I think you and I kind of talked about that earlier. It's nice, and I think it definitely gives you that moment to kind of come back to center and go back to your roots and realize, yep, this is just my job, and not get big-headed at all. But that, yeah. Hammock period. So that's, I don't know, it's nice, but it's a great opportunity to really just keep moving forward and take classes and keep honing your craft, and then, because you don't know how long it's going to last. And as long as you're working then you know that, and you're not giving up, then it's still being productive and it's still helping you.
There's a fantastic aspect to this question. It's called my life. As of right now, because my show just ended about 6 months ago, and so I'm in that hammock period. It can be a tricky situation because after you come off a project, there's this great deal of rest that you really want. Then say you take your rest, and then there's this great deal of momentum that you have to catch back up with, and then you have to have that running start to get it. You need to work. It's a great deal of working on your craft, and what am I doing every day to actually benefit my career in some way, and knowing that you've come off of something, you can't use that you can't rely on that to get your next job. You still have to perform your job as the actor to find your next work. Audition again.
My hammock period was just shy of a year, which was painfully long, but it gave me a great opportunity to sit back, and going back to what you said about support systems, really revisit with my team the goals, the priorities, everything that we wanted to accomplish in the next year, 5 years, 10, lifetime. Yeah, I'm a little ambitious. I like to set goals for my lifetime. And that's really, I think, what helped me, and knowing that and having those conversations definitely makes it easier to push forward because you know what you're pushing forward for, if that makes sense.
Right. I'm about to enter the hammock period in about 2 days, and I'm dreading it terribly, and doing putting every fiber of my being into figuring out something else to do. I'm throwing myself into music and doing a bunch of other things to fill that time and to keep honing my craft and improving, and that's really what you have to do. You have to keep yourself busy doing what you love until that next opportunity comes along.
On a less serious note, Sloane's ideas for hammock period. Anyway, so things you can do in the meantime, just for fun, or while you're waiting or something like that. You can invest time in a charity, which is a really, really good thing to do. And you could also, submit for more auditions, or go on more auditions, or things like that, or catch up on school, or a much needed thing to catch up on. And rest is another thing. So those are just a couple things to think about during hammock period, because it's a very slow time, and it's a time where you're just waiting and itching to get onto camera. And for me, I go mad when I don't do something in like a month. So I have to figure out a way to do something. So just keep yourself occupied and just know that there will be more stuff. Because this was a slow year audition-wise for a lot of people. And next year, I have a feeling next year is going to be a big year for this industry, for everyone.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Positivity.
But so just, always think high and know that there will be an opportunity right around the corner. Or next year, or in the next day, or in 5 minutes. You're going to get a buzz on your phone right now saying you have an audition, so get to that audition.
Wow.
You get antsy. You get really antsy. And like I said, going back to knowing what you are pushing for and what your goals are, if you have all this free time, you can write your own ticket. Because sometimes other opportunities aren't always going to be there. So you can make your own. And if you have that great support team and mentors and family and time, you actually can do it. And again, cyclical, success begets success. So why not?
Well, Bella, you're speaking as someone who just recently made her first short film. You wrote and directed your own short film. It was an award-winning film at the Burbank International Film Festival here, and so you're actually you are actually doing that. You are building the locomotive for yourself to drive.
Working on it, yeah. Like I said, hammock periods, opportunities, antsy, go do it, and it's great. And I definitely feel like now I'm in a better place for acting because my goal is to have a multifaceted career. And so, yes, the film won and has been official selections and just got confirmed for the 4th festival today. So that's great, but thank you. But that's also being leveraged back into acting, and I'm going out more, I'm going to more screen tests and mix and match, and like I said, success begets success, cyclical opportunities, write your own ticket. That's definitely what I stand for, so. Thoughts
The-
by Bella King.
I didn't want to like step over you. I'm sorry. The luxury that young actors have is that for most it's not like a lifeline to book parts. It's not like you need to book parts to stay in your house or keep
Right.
food on your plate. And most of us are lucky enough to have parents who can provide that. And I think that we should take advantage of that and not get too stressed out with auditions. If you're not booking, if you're not even getting callbacks, if it's a tough period for you, yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure there from those who represent you and from those around you. But you're the person, only you can put that extra weight on your back. And when you have that much pressure on yourself, it's harder to audition and it gets you nervous in the room. You're not going to be able to perform as well. So I guess just take advantage of it not being an utter necessity to live, to book roles, and have fun with it.
Oh, sorry.
Please. Well, I didn't know you
okay.
hadn't worked in it.
Well, I had my hammock period. Wait, no, it wasn't after Ant Farm. I think it was after How to Build a Better Boy. And after I did that, I was kind of like, okay, so I don't think I have anything lined up. So what am I gonna do? And I used that to practice. And because since I sing and act, I was like, okay, well, first of all, I need to catch up on some school. And second of all, I need to get with my sisters because we're in a group together. So I need to get with them and we need to practice and perform and stuff like that. So yeah, like you said, just focus on other things and keep yourself busy.
Play a board game.
Play a board game, exactly.
Now, this question comes from Kevin Matz here in the audience, and I want to direct it towards you, Taylor, having started on a show 5 years ago when you were 16 years old. How does it feel to work every day like an adult when you were that young?
Well, going back to school, it's very hard to balance both, but, luckily I have amazing parents and I had an amazing set tutor and that really got me through it. But it's honestly such a cool feeling because there's not many people who get to say that I grew up with Melissa Joan Hart and Joey Lawrence. Like,
Right.
I've had a very cool life. But, and it's one of the things that was hard is like working every day as an adult when I go home being a kid.
Right.
It's very hard because it's like you kind of like you have this whole like I'm an adult, it's fine, and then it's like I can't drive myself home, so I'm not really an adult.
Right.
Like I can't make my own dinner, so not really.
And I wouldn't mind spending the night watching My Little Pony.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of want to do something.
But yeah, and before that I was on Days of Our Lives since I was 14, so really I've worked like every day. I'm very blessed to say that since I was 14 years old, and it's been amazing. But yeah, it's kind of that balance of like you're an adult when you're at work, but like you're still a kid. And I think that's something that's very important for parents to understand is like we're still kids. Like we're still trying to figure out what we're doing. We have our jobs, we have that figured out at a very young age, but it's like we still don't really, we're awkward and we don't know what's going on. And so I think that's a very important thing for like everyone to remember is that we are still young.
Do you agree that people sometimes often forget that you're still a kid and they sort of think
Oh
that you got it all figured out?
Oh my goodness, yes. Sometimes I'm like, Mommy! Like it gets crazy sometimes. Because yeah, people forget that you're only, 16 or 15 or however old you are. And yeah, they treat you like an adult, but sometimes it's just kind of like, I don't even know I can't even sign this. Like I can't write my name. So it gets crazy.
You couldn't sign your name at 16?
Well, I can't sign my name, but you get what I'm getting at. Like if you like 6 in the audience,
Right.
As I'm getting older, it's crazy. When I was working, I would go home, and now all the angst is catching up. You just lay down, done with life. But with working every day, it's important. I feel that we realize also that we as young actors are in such an interesting situation. Correct. With limbo, with the opportunities that we get to learn all about it. On my show, it was a multi-camera sitcom. Much actually yours is too. So there we go. It's given me a lot of opportunities to learn everything about them. Being on the show for 4 years, I was able to kind of shadow the directors, learn how the DPs do their jobs, the writers. Gotten to sit in the writers' room a lot. Mm-hmm. I've been sitting with them in their next projects now, just chiming in. Like I have jokes in shows now, and that's odd. It's weird. But it's something that I've gotten from having my own experience as a young actor on a show. So I've used the opportunities that I'm that I've been very blessed to receive and have worked for, and I feel have, to a certain extent, earned, and have tried extending them and making them into new opportunities, which is that whole multifaceted deal, is using what we have and taking advantage of every opportunity that we possibly can to make sure that we have this longevity in our careers. It was kind of side topic.
What about you, Sloan? Actually, this question was originally directed to you, so I should probably.
I don't even remember the question, to be honest. Could you repeat the
Just
question?
being a kid and working like an adult.
Oh yeah, that. Anyway.
That thing that you do all your life.
Thank you for that amazing speech, by the way. I feel like you should win an award now, honestly. But anyway, that was awesome. Anyway, I guess it's like China said. The hardest thing is being overestimated or underestimated, because after all, we are still teens or children, so we are expected to do more, but we're not expected to do enough sometimes. So on some things, they would expect you to know a lot already, and like I've worked in the past on a short film or two where the director just expected me to know what to do. And I did my best, but the truth is everyone needs guidance. And we're in the middle between being overestimated and underestimated, because we know what we're doing, but yet we don't. But when we're underestimated, it doesn't give us the confidence we need to pull off a role. So it's a real touchy bridge between those two when you're working on a show or a film or something. So, yeah.
You don't want to be treated like a kid, but you want people to be aware that that's what you are. It's a funny sort of...
Yes.
Yeah.
But we are mature kids.
Right. Oh, sure you are.
We're kids that can learn lines.
Mature-ish.
Sometimes.
Okay.
We all have our moments. All of
Yeah,
us.
we'll wait for the fart jokes later.
It's weird. Like, it's good, cool weird, but it's odd to be working as an adult, treated like an adult, and then go home and have your mom drive you back from the studio lot because you don't have a license.
Right.
So it's odd. The greatest thing that I think we've discovered is communication. I promise you, my parents and I sit down at least once a week, if not every day, and go over the to-do list, and we go over school, we go over social, we go over business, and we have to categorize it by that because that's my support system. And it's a very multi-layered, kind of odd relationship because it's my mom and dad, but it's also people that I see on set working as makeup artists and DITs. It's the people that help me and review my homework. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and I think compartmentalizing it into those distinct groups, and okay, business hats on, blah, 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 blah. Okay, school, blah, 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 blah. That's been the greatest thing in the communication, and I think that kind of helps distinguish everything. So like, we know that when we're at a film fest or a screening or a meeting with Mr. Producer, sir, that we're strictly business cohorts.
Right.
But then when we get in the car, it's my parents again. And I think having that clarified dynamic helps make it less weird and awkward and messy and not knowing, is this my parent? Is this my assistant? Is this my... Yeah. That made sense, right?
Yeah, girl.
One more thing. You also, stay a kid as long as you can, because you can never go back when you grow up. But you'll soon realize that when you go on set, you do grow up a little bit in some areas. I don't know if I said that right. But it's funny because I was working on the show, and like about a month into it, I went in the catering truck and I got a coffee. And I looked at...
I'm still not allowed to drink coffee.
No, I know, I'm not either. I got a coffee and I thought, why am I drinking coffee? And it's just
Oh my God, I'm 35.
so many things. It's just a lot of things change as long as as well as stay the same when you go into this aspect.
Where'd this beard come from?
Not yet.
I use it when I'm trying to think of something.
Once you get it, you can't get rid of it, so I don't recommend. So it can be tricky after you have had some degree of success and you have your Twitter accounts and you've been on television and you've done this thing to go back into your old life and go back to your old friends and go back to that. Talk about the transition from, if Teo, maybe you could start, of your professional life and your personage as an actor, and then your personage as just that kid that used to throw mud balls down the street, or just that grubby kid. Yeah. Talk about sort of transitioning between those two aspects of yourself.
I don't know if I've ever seen a mud ball, but I'm lucky enough to have good friends that keep me grounded. And like they'll kind of mock me and be like, "Oh, actor boy, what's up?"
Right.
Like, screw you guys. Yeah, beep beep. But it's kind of cool. I mean, my friends are really interested in what I do. I have a lot of friends who film. Like one of my friends is a grip on. He's like Spielberg's assistant, and my other friends are like cinematographers, directors, producers, and we're always making short films together. So it's kind of like we build each other up. They'll, like, if I'm in that hammock period, they'll say, "Teo, you want to make a short?" And I'll be like, "Sure." And we'll just get it done. And it's not like I have a different persona on set. I'm crazy on set. I remember, like, my first set I was on, which was, like, my first big set, Earth to Echo. And I was running around jumping on, like, the PA's backs and stuff and asking for piggyback rides. Mm-hmm. And I did let it get to my head. Not I didn't build my ego or anything. I just got too hyper and crazy. Mm-hmm. And my dad was like, "Teo, sit down," as if I was like a dog or something. Right. Like, calm down. Here's a treat. And my friends are the same way. As I said, they help to keep me normal.
All those grips were calling their union reps and like, this can't be in the contract. What about the rest of you? Is it tricky going between your professional life and your, I guess, civilian life from?
I mean, it can be, but I think the most important thing is to have friends that are in the industry and friends that are not at all in the industry. Because, your industry friends can kind of help you deal with all the craziness that you're going through and the highs and lows and everything that's happening to you on the industry side. But then it's so important to stay grounded in the real world, because this world can get so crazy and things happen and it's not normal. So it's nice to have some normal sometimes and be able to talk to your friends that aren't in the industry about just life and what it's like and what's going on that side of things, and just keep one toe in that world, because unless you have a toe in that world, what we do, we imitate life on screen and on stage and on film. So if we don't have our toe in that world, how can we draw from that life experience?
That's good. I actually realized as you were saying that I'm not sure I have any friends outside of the industry. Because I literally, like, if any of you want to be my friend, I mean, we can meet outside and exchange numbers or something, but I just realized that as you were talking, and that's actually kind of crazy. But yeah, like you said, balancing like life on set and then life at home, because I have some amazing, crazy parents. So that's been one of the trickiest parts for me, is getting off the set and, "Oh, you're amazing, oh, we love you, blah, 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 oh, do you want this, oh, do you want water, we'll get it for you." Right. Then going home and like do the dishes. So right. It's totally different.
It's interesting because the industry friends are greatly in our industry and associated with our work. It's almost like they're still part of the career, even though they're still our friends. We still talk. It's like they are, because I go back to Mississippi. I talk with these my friends there, and they're like, "Hey, want to go to Sonic?" Like, yes, okay. I'm so excited. We cruise Sonic looking all cool. And I'm like, this is normal. Like, this is a normal thing. We cruise Sonic. And I'm thinking, well, over there, what do? Like, we go get coffees and we drink coffee, organic. We go to Earth.
Go to Lemonade.
The turnip is real. In the valley? I don't know.
I have to agree though, because I have like the same thing. I get to go back to Mississippi, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go to my cousin's house and like ride 4-wheelers, which does not happen out here. Right. It's like you can't ride those through the valley. But yeah, it's the same thing. But then it's like, even though here none of like my closest friends are not actors, really, if you saw me like not on a set, you would never know that I was an actor. I am not that. I sit at my house like with my dogs and I watch movies. I like just try not to get caught up because that's another thing about it is like if you go out every night and that's all you're hanging out with is actors, especially at 21, it's very dangerous. Like you cannot do that. My mom, I still live with my mom, and she's like, sit down. You're staying at home tonight. You want to watch a movie? Cool.
But there's always that funky point at the Sonic where somebody like points and says,
Yeah, then it
and
gets
starts doing
weird.
that thing, and then you got to do that thing and figure out like how you're going to handle that interaction. And suddenly, what had been just a night out with the boys doing the same dumb stuff you used to do comes a reminder of your other life.
Hannah Montana.
Yeah, no.
You wanted to take, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, no, along with that, that is true, but it's interesting to realize that when I go back home, that's when they decide to do all the interesting and fun stuff because they have their normal lives that they kind of live out. They go to school, they go home, they eat at home, they fall asleep after they do their schoolwork. And then when I go back, that's when they want to do all like the interesting, fun, like normal country things. That's when
Sonic is a special night. Then.
Sonic is a very
That's an
special
outing
night.
in
You
this
have
city.
no idea. Last time I went, we forked a yard. That was interesting. That was like a very yes. We put forks down in a yard and thought we were so cool. Because that's like the interesting life that they could live. They're just they do their everyday thing, and I do my everyday thing, which is very different. And so I get to like have these little splurges. But yes, it is when it does happen that it kind of mixes in the world in the Sonic drive-through. That somebody's like, hey,
I really want Sonic now.
Yeah, I know.
They are not a sponsor, by the way.
Sonic and Hardee's is
Someone
not
get them a
Carl's
sponsor.
Jr. Give me Hardee's.
Steak and Shake.
When it's
You remember Steak and Shake? Don't they have one here now, though?
No.
We got really
They
off
don't have
topic
steak
here,
and
y'all.
shake here.
All right, let me refocus things for a minute.
Okay.
Getting things out of hand here. But I'm going to start. This is a question. We've talked a lot tonight about work-life balance and sort of the extraordinary amount of requirements and expectations that you have as young performers. But we have a lot of young performers out here today and watching on the internet. And if you could talk to them a little bit, and we'll just start all the way down in the end and kind of work our way in again, about what tips you have for young performers to help them think about that, about the work-life balance, or just tips in general, things that you wish someone had taken you aside about 4 or 5 years ago in a corner and told you.
You know, something that I wish somebody would have told me is just always trust your gut. No matter what anybody says, no matter who says it to you, no matter how much industry experience they have, trust your gut, because ultimately you have to live with whatever decision you make, not that other person that's giving you the advice. So whatever you feel is right for you, and you feel in your heart and your mind is what you need to be doing, do it. Whatever that may be. Whether it's this industry, whether it's not this industry, whether it's anything in life. Just follow your gut and never stop chasing your dreams and doing what makes you truly happy.
if you really love this and if you are dedicated, then go for it. If it's what you want to do, if you want to be an actor, an actress, or you want to sing or dance or do parkour, I had to bring that up. Sorry, I don't know who the parkour specialist is.
It's not me. It's not me. If you want.
We have not
It's not
outed the parkour specialist yet for the evening.
Okay, we've not had them for the evening. Got it. So,
Maybe it's me.
if we,
It's not me.
if you want to do that and then follow your dreams, just remember to stay humble. You know, keep a good head on your shoulders. Remember your roots. Remember where you came from. Remember your friends. Friends can really help. Friends and family. Please thank your parents. Hug them once a day, or
Right now,
twice,
hug
or
your parents.
a billion times.
I see people hugging their parents. Yes, I love it.
They're very important. Our parents.
Very warm moment right now.
I'm feeling love in the air.
Stay humble.
One thing I wish someone told me was that you're going to hear no more than you're going to hear yes, but that's not going to, if it's what you really want to do, it's not going to stop you. And don't be afraid to be bold and take risks if it's something that you're confident in. And remember that the number one thing that's going to be your biggest asset as an actor is your individuality. So be confident in that.
All right, so I'm going to take this to a different kind of aspect. Something, well, I mean, before I came out here, my parents really, I didn't mention it before, I was going to, but I didn't get to. They have had such a big role in my career, and I love them for that. I love them a lot. And, you know, without them, I wouldn't be here. And they told me basically everything I needed to know. They said, you know, follow your dream, because I don't want you to go to Macy's and be a women's shoe salesman and say, hey, if you'd supported me, I could have been a star. And you know what? They've supported me all the way through. And thank you, parents, for that. But something I wish someone would have told me is that this doesn't happen overnight. This happens over months and years of hard work, you know. A lot of hard work, and it's a sprint, not it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah, it's a bunch of different little races in a big race. It's just there's a bunch of races and a bunch of analogies that I don't want to go into right now. But yeah, just keep running. Just keep running. Don't let anyone stop you. Don't let those hurdles. You can't jump. You can jump over those hurdles. You can go around them if you're too short to jump over them. I don't know.
There were so many Olympic competitions you mentioned there that I'm exhausted just listening.
Yeah, but you know what? Just it doesn't matter what you've heard and what you haven't heard, because you know you're your biggest critic, and you know you just want to strive to be the best you can be. So just do that, and it doesn't matter what you don't know and what you already know. Just do your best. And have people that support you, like your parents and your friends and everybody around this room that are awesome, and you people and everyone. Go on, please. I'm done.
I think the advice that I want to give to every young actor in this room, if you're not having fun, don't do it. This is not the kind of job you can do if you don't absolutely love what you do. It's hard, you know, especially like when you're a kid, you only have certain hours that you can work, which is amazing. Once you turn 18, it's not like that. And, you know, but like I've been on sets for 19 hours. If I didn't love what I did, it's horrible. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to love what you do, because it is hard. You're going to get told no a lot, and it's going to be very discouraging. And you have to work really hard, and it's not, you know, people always see this glamorous side of it, but really our jobs, they're glamorous, I guess. Yeah, we get our hair and makeup done and all of that, but it's hard work, you know? So yeah, if you don't love it, don't do it. Don't waste your time.
Yes. Well,
That Tatum.
I forgot how to. Anyway, I was gonna say there it is. All right, so it's not funny.
He's on a mission.
Yeah, I'm gonna get there.
Young Teo is waiting for your advice right now.
Don't ever feel that acting is something that you need to do. And I say there's gonna be times when you reevaluate what you're doing, and you're gonna think, is this really what I want to do? And if it's not what you want to do, don't pressure yourself into that. Don't think that just because other people they have some weight on you, or they're expecting you to do good, that you have to force yourself into it. But if acting is what you want to do, you better be sure you're going to be working your butt off to get there, and you're going to be doing the most. You're going to be putting in 140%. And without that, you can't get where you need to be. And also, everybody's different. Nobody is the same. And so use that individuality to bring something new to each role that you take. Words of wisdom. On to you, China.
All right. My parents already told me this when I was younger. They told me over and over and over again. But I wish I had really listened when they told me, when you mess up, do not beat up on yourself. Because I am a Virgo, I'm a perfectionist, and everything has to be perfect. And whenever it doesn't go that way, I beat up on myself so much. And also, like one of you said, just to make sure that you love it. Because I remember I was on a set, it was before Ant Farm, I think it was like Jonas LA or something. And I can remember that show. And I was really, really young, like 9 or 10 or somewhere around there. And I was tired, and I just said to my dad, I was like, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to go home. And he was like, you want to go home? And I was like, yeah. He said, let's go. And he got all of my stuff, and then I was like, wait, no, I was kidding. No, I don't want to go home, never mind. But in that moment, I realized, okay, I love this, and no matter how tired I am or whatever is going on with me, I just have to work through it because this is what I want to be doing.
Well, thank you guys so much. This was such a remarkable evening. My daughter is going to be so thrilled that I got to talk to you. This is an incredible group. Thank you very much for coming out tonight, and thank you all for sharing
Thank you
so much.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
no.
not squeak on the. Yeah.
Just drop them.
Yeah, drop the mic.
And I guess you can all go home now. So prepare.